Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Tackle Room. On today's episode, we're going to be talking to none other than 2022 Riverfest champion Lee Edwards. In this episode, we're going to be talking all things Riverfest, how Lee qualified and how he won the final. So without further ado, let's jump into the conversation. We'll go into Riverfest a bit more now, Lee. So where did you qualify for the final?
I qualified on Twyford Farm.
On the Warwickshire Avon.
Yeah. And I think I've drawn in the best zone, but I didn't have a good peg. And because in this one area, there's like a lot of trees, overhanging trees and so forth and things like that. And mine was pretty sparse and it didn't go well to start. And I don't know what sort of kept me there, because I know I wasn't in the best area. And I tried to do different things. And in the last hour, I've caught nothing. I don't think I've caught a pound in the first sort of 3.5 hours. And who come behind me? Oh, Jake Fowles come down from Sono. He come down behind me. And I just started to catch some little silver bream.
Yeah.
By casting into the lily pads on the far bank, right into them. And, I sort of had to pull them through the stalks and this and that. And it was just gradually getting better, just using a small feeder, a tiny little bit of worm on the hook. And I was surprised. I think I weighed in about £7.9 or something like that. And I think, I'm not sure, the weight next to me was £7.8.
Wow. So that really close match then.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I just didn't expect it from there. I thought the bream would have played part, but they didn't that day. And luckily got through with a skin in my teeth, really.
And it's like you say, that's fishing though, isn't it? You're not there always to catch the massive weights. You've got to plug away and just keep catching what you can catch, what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And just going on to that a bit, Lee. Obviously, people go fishing, they see all these massive weights, whether they're on the Y, big commercial fisheries and stuff like that. If you had anything to say to a youngster fishing-wise now regarding, obviously, seeing all this, what would you actually advise them to do?
Oh, well, regarding how they tackle a peg and this and that?
Exactly, just as a general sort of fishing, sort of.
Well, you can only do what you can do. There's times you can push your fishing to get more out of your peg, but if your peg's not worth it, there's just no point. I know a lot of guys go there, or their sole intention is to win the match, but you can't do it off a lot of pegs.
Yeah,
you can't do it. Just enjoy yourself and take what it comes at the end of the day, whether it's a section or if you come away with a section win and you've done your job as far as I'm concerned, because if you're in the best section or the best part of the match, you won the match anyway.
Yep.
That's all I could do. Just if you can't, and you got to enjoy. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, just do something else, or go somewhere else, or do a different style of fishing or whatever. But that's all I can say regarding my career as a match fishing, really.
Exactly, and I think obviously we're looking to get more young blood into the sport, and I think that's one of the main things that the youngsters have got to realise, that at the end of the day, you can only do what's put in front of you.
Yeah, and I see what the Guru guys are doing and all of that, and it's fantastic, really. They get a good response from all the junior anglers or the younger anglers, and without them and yourselves and these pathways, it's encouraged. It's obviously fishing has changed. When I was young, there was nothing much to do.
Yeah.
It was just like I went fishing or I looked for bird nests and things like that. I was always out and about, but there was none of this technology that there was now.
No.
I mean, it's just a completely different environment now, isn't it? But in order to keep these younger anglers interested, I mean, what they are doing, I think, is immense.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. So what we'll go on to now is obviously the final. how you won the final and stuff like that. I think that's what everyone really wants to know. And obviously, a few people already know about day one, about the barbell weight, and just give us a breakdown of day one to start with, mate.
Well, I think we rocked up on a Friday night. We saw Dave Howell in the pub there, and he come over straight away and he said the barbell peg is like 53 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And we just laughed, and he's been there and he had to go. So next morning, we had breakfast next to where you guys did the draw. So we were like sort of more or less first of the queue.
Yep.
And so I was looking around like that, trying to who's going to go first. I tried pushing my mate 80 Whittle towards it, and he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I walked up. I walked him into the bucket, and there was a wedge of tickets there.
Yeah.
And there was just one on its own.
Yeah.
And I looked down and picked it up. I opened it up and I just started laughing, basically, because it was the peg, like, you know.
Yeah.
And so you know what you have to do there. It doesn't look anything special when you're there. It's pretty barren, but you know that part of the river it bends quite a bit.
Yeah.
And all the flow is sort of coming off a bit of a straight and then into a bend. So it's all basically, I think, all the food is pushed into these fish, like.
Yeah.
So an easy day. I set up one or two flat float rigs because there's some big perch and all that in that area, which I know, and two feeder rods. There's a lot of rocks and things like that there.
Yeah.
On the bottom. Yeah, the bottom's quite naughty, like, really. So I spent a bit of time, which I thought was a bit of a clear area, because in between the rocks there's all this shingle, which barbel obviously love.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was ready with you know, an hour to go, something like that. So I put a couple of feederfuls of casters and hemp out there to start, and then I went on a flat float, caught a couple of perch, and not a lot. I expected a few more, but it wasn't very good. And then the first cast, casters in the feeder with some hemp, with a cut off. The bottom end of the block end was cut off, and I was plugging out with hemp, crushed hemp. And I think I had about 3 or 4 red maggots on the hook.
Yep.
First 2 casts, I had 2 chub, about 3 pound each. And then it was like nothing. And then I swapped the casters on the hook, and I've hooked a barbel, which is probably, he's probably still like 15 pegs down or whatever it is, because he's just tore off. And it was one of these creatures, you know, because there's a lot of big barbel in the Trent.
Yeah.
And that went off. That bust me. Hooked another one, same sort of size. That bust me. And then I think if anyone would have watched the live feed, I hooked another one, and I think I broke the rod on that. I broke a rod, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, you've got a bit of crowd behind you. It's a bit embarrassing and all that. But
good
the barbel,
television.
Yeah, the barbel went through some weed, and I think it bust me off anyway. And the feeder was stuck in the weed, and I was getting a bit. I had the ump, basically.
Yeah.
And so I got my one of my barbel rods, which I use on the Y. I got that out, and never lost a fish then. But I stepped up as well. I had to go like to 0.25 fluorocarbon up lengths.
Yeah.
Because I started on 0.23, I think, and you just couldn't hold them, man. I've never, I've caught barbel in a lot of places, but nothing as strong as them.
Yeah.
Nothing as strong as them, like, you know. And it was all at times. The feeder was at the bottom, and I was using like a meter hook length, and I was coming down within like a couple of seconds. The rod was just getting dragged in, like.
So in theory, really nice day, but again, really sort of frustrating at times before you change the tackle.
Yeah, but you just had to, you know, it was just like warfare, basically. It's just hook and hold, you know. Yeah. Just at times I had the butt end of the rod in my groin, and I was just yanking on them. Yeah. And you had to do it. Honestly, you give them an inch, and they just take a yard, like. That's
it. So what weight did you end up with, Lee, at the end of the match?
I had 88 pounds. most of them were on casters. I caught a couple on meat at the end, but it was a bright sunny. If it was a cloudy day, I think it would have been a crazy way.
Yeah,
crazy, but it was just really bright sunshine that day, But obviously, there was enough to do
the damage on day one.
Yeah, it was. But you never know. There's a couple of big fish pegs on that river, but then bream on the cables, and the peg that I was on could knock up again the next day. You don't know, do you? You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go into day two, mate. Obviously, different draw, different zone, what you're in completely. What was that day technically compared to day one?
It was totally different. I did catch one little barbel, but it was up the top, peg 3. I think peg 3 in a day. It's just below the weir, and it was a little bit awkward because the top of the river was faster than the bottom.
Yep.
So I had to always hold the float back. And when you were catching dace and roach, a lot of times you just want to run in at them, and you just hit more bites that way, I think. So, and it was all like a lot of froth in the water. You couldn't see your float and this and that. But it was just a case of balling in, catch where you can, catch a couple of perch short, but it was only small ones. And then I finished off, because the pole didn't last very long. I was finishing off just fishing a feeder, just catching dace. I had a barbel about £2, but just scratched around for about £15, I think.
Yeah, so it's to be honest with you, where did that get you in your section, Lee? Was that another section win, or was that?
No, I think somebody beat me by a couple of ounces down below. I think, yeah, a couple of ounces. But as you can imagine, it was busy there when I was fishing.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys were filming there. There was a crowd behind you, and you can't do nothing about it. You could just they're there to watch it, they're there to film it, they're there to endorse the competition as well. So even though it was affecting my day, it didn't affect it in the long run, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But its job was done. So
yeah, so it's like what we talked about before. The diversity of your fishing really has brought you through, obviously, the final to get the win. Because you've had a day of big fish fishing, and then you've come on to catching £15 of roach, dace, and little fish.
Yeah.
I think it just proves, obviously, yourself in all over the angling community that you are a complete all-rounder, to be honest with you. And I think that's what you said at the start with this competition's a 2-day competition. It is a hard one to win.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Again, congratulations on the win, mate. It's one of them that obviously it rivals up with Fishermania. It's the same sort of level competition with natural water fishing.
Yeah. It's it's the premier river competition for sure. And I've always wanted to win it. I come close a couple of years back. I won the first day, but then that was back on the days of when I was on the River Wye, and the next day it was just carnage. It just rose about 8 to 9 foot overnight. A lot of the pegs were wiped out.
Yeah.
And luckily I've had another bite of the cherry, basically.
That's it. And to be honest with you, it always proves, if you get a second bite of the cherry and you take that chance, it really proves home, doesn't it? And gets you where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Here's a question. It's what we get asked pretty much on every single one of these episodes of the Tackle Room. What did you spend the money on?
Well, 80 Whittle had a few grand out of it because we go in shares, and I'm pretty much sure the rest of it just got dwindled by the family. Like, I didn't buy myself anything. I know that, but yeah, it's just
That's one of them things, isn't it? Family comes first, and I think that's what a lot of people, especially in this sort of day and age, need to really take note of. That family always does come first, normally.
Indeed.
Yeah, so what we'll look at now, Lee, what is your most memorable Riverfest sort of qualifier other than the final? Because obviously, like you've said before, you've qualified for the final a few times.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually two. I can't sort of pick. I've had two like really good days. One was on the River Weaver,
Yep.
and I can't remember the exact weight. I think it must have been like £35, £36. But I've drawn an area which I said was full of small fish, and because you were fishing squats and things like that.
Yep.
And I had a massive walk to get there, and by the time I got there, the phone was already going, saying there was like bream spawning in areas and this and that, and and when fish spawn, the eggs, fish come to eat them, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I had a little clump of weed by the size of a bucket.
Yep.
And I fished next to that, and I can't remember any skimmers or bream I had, but I had one tench about £4.5, and it won the match. And I think I had like 30, 35, 36, 37 pounds, something like that.
Yeah.
A lovely day, a place I've only ever fished once before, I think.
Yeah, and for those that don't know the Weaver, it is a sort of really slow moving river, isn't it? It's It's more of a canalised based sort of fishing, if you talk about it like that.
It's a lovely looking stretch. There's plenty of fish in there. I wish it was closer, but that yet again, that was a long old drive. And the other one was on the River Nene. I think I just come back from an exhibition over in Europe or something like that on like the Saturday morning, and I drove over there yet again with Aidy Whittle, and we had a bit of a look. It looked, because I haven't been there since the old Winter League finals back in the day, and it looked great. No peg looked any different to any other, and it was a blazing hot day, and I managed to cast about £60 of bream on a pole.
Wow, so real red letter day sort of thing.
Yeah. It was because I caught nothing for like 2.5 hours, and I think some guy come walking round and he said, "No, they catching 1 or 2 bream down below you on a feeder." And once I had my first bite, it was just like catch it, top it up, catch another one, top it up, and they were, because they were bream were off the bottom, because they were so hot. The bream were like in the mid layers.
Yeah,
you just had to keep on feeding a little, not much, but enough to make them go down and pick up your bait.
Yeah,
and that was the key that day. But yeah, it was a cracking bit of sport. That was, bream to £6, I think they were.
Yeah,
so,
and I think that shows people as well what the capabilities of our rivers are. You've had 2 matches there where you've caught sort of between £30 and £60, one in each, but it's just days fishing where you really work hard for it, and then it really comes good in the end.
Yeah. No. I mean, it can be a little bit funny with the weather, because obviously it's during the summer. Sometimes there's water in there, sometimes there's not. But the fish are there.
Yeah. It's a bit of an obvious question, really, but do you think the water fluctuations in the river makes this competition harder, and it makes the actual field harder because it takes that much knowledge to get the best out of your pegs?
Yeah. I mean, if the river is low, you can just fish like a little pole or a stick float or whatever and catch a couple of fish. But if you go there and the river's 6, 7, 8 foot up, and you still have the knowledge how to get the fish out, then it's just, you got to have a broad sort of range of skills, really.
Exactly. And what I'm going to go on to now, obviously, we've got the qualifiers coming this year. We've got some new ones. Just to name one out of the blue, obviously Collingham on the Trent, which is a new one to us. What is your sort of qualifier that you're looking forward to this coming year?
I don't know. There's a lot on the Trent this year, isn't it? We've lost the one on the Bristol Avon because for what's going on over there with all the boats and things. I just think the closest one is Evesham. I think that's on opening day.
Yeah, that's
on
it.
Friday, isn't it? Yeah,
that's right.
I'll go for that one first. I know the venue pretty well, even though I didn't get the chance to go there last year. But so yeah, I don't mind Evesham. I like it there. There's good facilities there, and I think I'm going to go for that one first.
That's great, mate. And one of the other things as well, obviously, Dave and ourselves at the Angling Trust, we've brought in Wednesday qualifiers this year on a few occasions. Do you think they're going to have an effect on the actual ticket sold? Do you think it'll encourage a few more people to go on a Wednesday, or?
Well, for me, it's difficult. From where these qualifiers are, and with work in traffic, I'd have to go up the night before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, as I said, there's nothing in my area anyway. So look, they're gonna go. They're gonna sell out, aren't they? Or nearest to it. It's just the nature. It's the nature of the competition. It's got that following.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't think it really sort of matters what day it is. Look, I know you're going to have some qualifiers clash with, you got some clashing with the national and things like that.
Yeah,
it probably won't make any difference because there's more than enough anglers out there to cover it.
Exactly. And obviously, we're going back to the same venue for the final. What are your thoughts on that? If you get back in the final, will you look forward to it the same, or will it be?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a river a long way from me, and when I fished the first one there, it was difficult to get information on it's not how to fish it. It's what fish live here.
Yeah.
Where do the fish live? Where do the bream? Where do the barbel? Where is this? Where is that? And you need a couple of years, unless you've got friends like that, to understand the venue really. And once the dace and all that, they are dace on the roach feeding, and you can catch. Other than know the bream or the barbel weights, it's all quite close.
Yeah.
If you get £20 a day, you're there, like.
Exactly, and I think that shows how good the venue is to how many fish are actually in that section. If you're catching £20 a day, you're sort of up there in that area.
Yeah, you are. £40 over 2 days. You're in the main list, like, So, but it has been big fish. My friend Paul Cannon, he won it the year before. With bream, no, 2 years before that. Sorry, and last year was bream again. So yeah, I mean it's a good stretch. It's a good stretch, and you got the access as well. If you want to walk all your kit down, it's just not so appealing. It's too much hard work.
Yeah.
But now you can park behind your peg and all that. It's great, like.
Yeah. So we'll do one final question, Lee, and we'll get ourselves gone. Is there any other Angling Trust competition that you'd like to get your name on?
Pretty much any of them.
Yeah.
Basically.
So it's
I haven't bothered with fish shows so much really. I haven't gone into the final, but then again, I haven't done much of it. I've had a couple of seconds and things like that. But obviously, that's that is the top of the tree. That is really, and but I preferred it when the venues were on like big fish waters and a bit more to go at. Not knocking at all what happened last year. Nothing, no way like that. But I just prefer. I liked it when it was at Cudmore and so forth. But there we are. But no, with the nationals, I fished a few of them. I've won about 4 or 5 team gold medals, but I haven't had a peg over the years to get an individual. I think best I've come was about 8th or 7th overall, I think. So yeah, I'd like to win that. A friend of mine, Rob Jones, won it a couple of years ago up in the Trent. No, it wasn't the Trent. Where was it? On the canals. Yeah, but and you even got the silverfish thing going on as well. I would like to win that, but yet again, it just involves a lot of traveling, which which, you know, after I've been traveling for like 25 years or whatever, it just all becomes a little bit tiresome now as you get older.
And you said, as we said again, the family aspect as well.
It's financial with the fuel and things like that. And you know, my boy likes to play rugby and he wants me there, and it's just like, you can't be in two places at once. You just got to go with what you need to do, really.
Yeah, so I think that'll do us there, Lee. I'd just like to say thanks for coming on, obviously. But other than that, the guys that are buying their Riverfest tickets are going to be competing this year. Really good luck. Obviously, trying to get through to the final, and the same to you as well, Lee.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it.